Through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him. He's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules. A new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom.
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Cryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you guys so much for joining this evening. Yes, had a great time at the Quantum Summit over the weekend. Definitely going to talk a little bit about that and about all the craziness going on in the crypto world at the moment, which I imagine is going to lead towards a lot of questions from folks, which I'm excited to jump into today. Also, very excited that everybody out there, if you're on the East Coast, wherever you're at, very happy for the time zone changes, because now in Puerto Rico, I'm actually in the same time zone as the Eastern folks up and down the EST. So very excited about that one as well. Makes it a lot easier to not miss meetings and to not miss streams. So excited about that one. Gonna go through and say hello to everyone, see what kind of questions folks are asking before we jump into the news today. What's up, Kukla? Thank you so much for being here. And Kukla says, hello, everyone. Welcome back, Zester. Hope you had fun at the summit. I definitely had a good time. There were so many amazing members of the community that showed up and that came to ask questions, came to do nothing more than just say hello. It really is different. It's different getting to meet people in person. It's amazing to have the community online and to have so many like-minded people to chat with, but it's always special when you get to actually shake somebody's hand, see them in person. So it was a wonderful time. Oh, yes, that was the blown up photo version of Tino after his makeover. He was feeling very handsome at the time. Welcome, Mile High Trish. Welcome. Hope you're having an awesome one. And yes, yeah. You're in the only state. I'm pretty certain that Arizona is actually the only state of the 50 United States that never changes their time zone. So you're always on Phoenix time. I think that's true. I could be wrong. Maybe some other state has decided to do it, but one of those things we can hope Trump goes ahead and knocks out, because it is awfully irritating having to constantly figure out time zone changes and daylight savings and the like. It would be very nice if we just went ahead and found a better answer for that one. But thank you so much, Trish. Oh, Mile High Trish. Hey, at Crazy Kryptonite, I watched the whole summit this weekend. Saw it last year too. Quite interesting. Oh, that's awesome, Trish. What parts were? I know there were a lot of the speakers that I really enjoyed listening to. There were some that I don't know, I felt like it was entirely new information. Quite a few of the speakers I felt like it was entirely new to me in terms of a lot of the information. And I'll have to give Mike Barra a little bit of credit. I don't know if y'all saw Mike's presentation on Sunday earlier in the day at the Quantum Summit, talking about the progression essentially of currency or of gold over the past about 150, 200 years, and talking about a lot of the logic behind how some of these events have occurred. He had always alluded to it, and he had always said stuff about it randomly during Whiskey and Wisdom or stuff like that, but never really had the chance to explain himself. I actually thought it was pretty interesting. Thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, now I'd be interested to hear from you, Trish. Which of the speakers and the panels did you really enjoy or that you found intriguing? Hey, Gary, what is up, man? Welcome, welcome. Gary Seven says, Zester, I asked Tina and Tino for crypto advice. They both were like, "You got to be kidding me." I'm gonna get that soundtrack going at some point, Gary. Gonna get that soundtrack going. What's up, Nature Girl? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nature Girl, Zester has some explaining to do. I don't know what you are talking about, Nature Girl. I do not know what you are talking about. Fake news, fake news. No, we had everybody there had a great time. It was awesome getting to meet so many people. Gary Seven, Zester, what was the main focus of the summit? What were the things that were mainly discussed? Actually, Gary, that one was fairly interesting. And so the Quantum Financial Summit was primarily designed around a lot of different free thinkers, folks that are out there in terms of health or in terms of cryptocurrency. And so that's really where it was kind of coming together. And then they threw in everything alien related or extraterrestrial. And so a lot of the panels on Saturday were really focused on health, child and human trafficking, and the efforts that are being made by a bunch of different investigators in order to assist in that process, which was very, very interesting. The day started off on Saturday with Senator Mark Fincham, that's State Senator Mark Fincham from Arizona, and also Representative, I'll have to immediately apologize for it. To me, it was Representative Belushi, but I know that that's not the proper pronunciation of his name, which I will have to ask for forgiveness for immediately. And they opened the stage. And so we started off with a lot of politics based around the importance of grassroots efforts, which is very true. Essentially, you have the most influence in terms of actually changing the world when it comes down to it, when you're talking about county size, when you're talking about running for school board, running for county commissioner, when you're running for things locally, you're going to end up having a disproportionate size effect as opposed to if you're running for federal level jobs. And in that regard, I found that to be extremely interesting. One speaker actually talked about permaculture and the importance of food forests. That was probably the most interesting speech and speaker for me, just because I have a very personal passion around that. And that's what I want to do post the financial reset. I really want to focus on that being what I do personally in my day-to-day life is producing my own food and assisting other people. And even if they're not going to produce all of their own food, at least producing some portion of it, because it's an extremely important concept when it comes down to individual sovereignty. So, Gary, we went all over the place. Sunday was definitely way more blockchain and crypto related than Saturday. Saturday was a lot of health, a lot of politics, a lot of current events, whereas Sunday was far more about crypto and blockchain technology. What's up, GG? Welcome, 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 LG Lady and June T. Welcome, Ray Richmond. No. I don't know about any of that. Welcome, Bill. Bill Keese. We're gonna go with Keys 14. Welcome, welcome, Keys 14. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing there, but thank you so much for joining. What's up, Diane? Welcome. GG. I was going to watch the Quantum Summit, but I missed it, and I was so mad because I could watch it off of my computer. Don't worry, GG. I know over the coming weeks, days, etc., that most everyone was actually recording a lot of the panels, and so I have a feeling most of the videos are going to end up coming out in the coming weeks from a variety of different sources. So I think anything that you missed, Gigi, you'll be able to see. There were some very, very interesting ones. I would actually highly recommend. And don't tell him that I told y'all this, but I would highly recommend actually watching the Mike Barra speaking time slot where he got to talk on his own. And actually, I highly recommend it. It was very, very informative, but don't let him know that. It's too much fun giving him a hard time. What's up, Tamara? Welcome, Grandma Sally. I'm Gary. Religious leaders are having trouble adopting cats. The animal shelter is nonprofit. Gary, that's a really good one. What's up, Sam Worley? Saying so glad you're back. Oh, thank you, Sam. I'm glad to be back home and glad to be back with y'all. What's up, Patricia? All right, there we go. Well, what's up, Jeannie Allen? And also, Jeannie Allen asks, I have seen people mess up when trying to transfer out of Coinbase back to your bank account. How do you go about that? That's a great question, Jeannie. And the reason that most folks end up having a problem is because of the distinction between USD and the other cryptocurrencies. And so the very important thing, Jeannie Allen, that you have to do when you're planning on transferring off of Coinbase is you need to find whatever crypto you have. And so say you have XRP. We'll use this as the example. I learned a lot about a lot of different opinions about XRP over the weekend. And so we'll use it as an example. Say you have XRP on Coinbase. You're going to look for the trading pair in the Coinbase search. So when you're searching for your trading pairs, you're searching for what you want to trade on Coinbase Pro or Coinbase One, I think as it's called now. You would look for XRP / USD. And the reason you're looking for that is because that pair is the pair that allows you to trade back to a fiat dollar. And many folks have gotten caught up on that point where they have their XRP or they have their Bitcoin or their Ethereum, and they're like, hey, I see what it's worth. Let's go ahead and withdraw to my bank account. You actually have one more step. And that step is you need to sell your Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is, for the US dollar. Now, one thing I would say is when you do that, you have created the first taxable event. And that's just something to keep in mind. Whenever you trade a crypto and you trade it back to fiat, you have created a taxable event. Now, if you lost money, it's still a taxable event, but it's in your favor. You can claim that and you can get some money back on your tax returns. If you've made money, keep in mind, now the IRS is going to have a few questions about capital gains. And that's just something that's important to remember. That's the moment that it is concrete. When you bought XRP at 50 cents and you sold at $3, the $2.50 of profit that you made off of every single XRP you sold, that is that taxable event. And that's the one that is just set in stone. Now, please keep in mind that anything and everything shared on the Crazy Cryptonaut channel or by myself anywhere I ever go is in no way professional financial advice. Please seek out a professional financial advisor before making any investment decisions. That's an important thing that I have to say. But now that that's out of the way, that's essentially the taxable event. Trading one crypto for another crypto exists in a very gray area from a tax standpoint. but trading from a crypto to the US dollar when you invested in the cryptocurrency at a far lower price, that one adds up. I don't appreciate the capital gains rates that they're charging on that one, because that's going to range from 20 to 21 to 40%, depending on whether it's short-term or long-term capital gains. But that is the moment it occurs. And so do keep that in mind, Jeannie. When you are doing that transfer, that's what's going to happen. But you do need to transfer from whatever crypto you're in to the USD moniker, not USDC, not USDT, not USD or RLUSD, not any stable coin. It has to be US dollar. And that's the taxable event. And that's also the point in which you can withdraw from Coinbase back to your bank account. Currently, they will not let you remove crypto over to your bank. That is something that is going to occur very, very soon. But as of right now, I am not aware of any banks that are allowing you to withdraw your crypto and for the bank to actually become the custodian of it. So great question, Jeannie. Absolutely. That's an important one for many folks. All right, Deanna Truelove. Can someone explain crypto to me? I'm so confused. I have some, but I don't know anything about it. Deanna, do not worry. I feel like that's the norm. I would say 99% of folks, they buy crypto before they really get into digging into what it's all about. And so the important thing here, Deanna, is that it's the future of finance. Ultimately, our financial system is going to operate on a blockchain in the future. Now, what is that blockchain? That blockchain is a decentralized ledger. It is a way for us to bypass the need for a bank or a third-party authenticator. Now, you are capable of operating and utilizing your currency without having to go through any of the institutional systems. And the way that it works is different for every blockchain. And that's what makes it very difficult, Deanna, to kind of explain crypto in one fell swoop, because the definition is that it is a decentralized ledger. And that really doesn't help most people. If you're just starting, somebody just saying, what's a blockchain? Oh, it's a decentralized ledger. Everybody just looks at you and go, well, what the heck's a decentralized ledger? And what a ledger is fairly common for everybody. That would be something that you could think about in terms of accounting. And it would be very simple in normal terms and a normal definition to understand that a ledger is essentially an accounting of a particular thing, whether it's the finances of a company or whether it's the inventory of a warehouse. It's a ledger. And what it's really just keeping is all the information about that particular subject. And that's really what a blockchain is. It is the ability for us to have a worldwide network of computers that are all saying, Deanna has this much XRP. And we're all capable of participating in the system. And so, Deanna, I will have to apologize right away. I feel like my explanation there was not particularly fruitful. But it's one that's very difficult to essentially jump right into just because of the definitions. And so very often when explaining it, you have to try to create an analogy because that's the easiest way to kind of absorb it. And so what I'll actually do is I'll talk about the analogy or the historical reference that I was going to utilize during one of the panels during the Quantum Summit. And that's RAI stones, RAI space stones. And so back many years ago on the islands of Yap in Micronesia, which I know these things sound like fairly made up terms, but you could look it all up. They're the Isles of Yap. They exist in Micronesia, which would be Southeast Asia, Oceania, essentially Polynesian. What they had is they had this very weird system of exchanging things. And so what they did was they would carve giant stone rings. Some of the largest ones up to 8,000 pounds, multi-ton stones. And thousands of years ago, you couldn't move these stones. The stone existed exactly where it had been carved. And the way that they would decide who owned it was through oral tradition. And so a new rye stone would be carved, and they would say, hey, Kukla owns that stone. That's Kukla's stone. And Kukla would come to me and say, hey, everybody knows that's my stone. And then everybody in the entire island, everybody around would know that Kukla owns that rye stone. That's hers. Now, she can't take it home. She can't put it in her house. She can't do anything like that, but she owns it. It's hers. And everyone on the island essentially is keeping record. Because every generation, the stone moves to the next person, or maybe Kukla spins it and gives it to someone else. And then she would inform everyone on the island that I no longer own that stone. They own that stone. And it seems like a crazy, crazy system, but it's actually referenced very often as the first version of a blockchain, because the ownership of the stone or of the Bitcoin is being verified by a ledger of people. In this case, in the Rye Stones, it's a microcosm, a singular island. In blockchain, it's global. It is essentially a concrete version of that same idea. Ultimately, your XRP exists on the XRP ledger. But the ledger says, and everyone knows that you own it. It's your XRP. And the entire ledger can confirm that. But ultimately, you do not have possession of that XRP. It exists on the blockchain. But everyone knows it's your XRP. And it's the same idea in a very antiquated form that the Rye Stones worked. And I know a lot of people at the summit seem to find that to be a very, very easy way to kind of digest what a blockchain essentially is. So I'll be curious to see if that helped out at all, Deanna. All right, George Howell, good afternoon, Zester. I'm glad you are back here on the channel. So regardless of price, what is your honest opinion of best crypto hard wallet? George, it's a ledger. For me, it's the ledger. I personally advise people, if you operate on a computer and you work with your crypto on a computer, I highly recommend the Ledger Nano S Plus. Matter of fact, you can save some money with the link in the description. You get free Bitcoin. I get some free Bitcoin for you buying through the link. So I always greatly appreciate when folks do. But if you don't use the link, you're just going to pay more for it. So it's one of those perfect situations. But I highly recommend the Ledger Nano S Plus because it is directly connected to the computer. It is a very simple interface. And it's designed for people who do not plan on spending or using their crypto on a daily basis. And for me, that's perfect. I'm looking for a Fort Knox, which I guess is kind of a funny saying at the moment as we're looking towards that audit. But ultimately, it's your vault. Your hardware wallet is not your crypto that you're planning on spending on a regular basis. It's your crypto that you're planning on holding for the future and you plan on having self-custody of, which is very, very important. And so I would highly recommend that one, George. If you do, and you do prefer using your phone for a lot of your cryptocurrency and the things that you like to do with it, or you plan on using your hardware wallet on a daily basis, then you should consider the Ledger Flex or the Ledger Stacks or one of the other Bluetooth enabled ledgers. Personally, I do not own them nor use them. I have messed with them. I've seen many of them. I know exactly how they work from all of the people that I know that own them, but they're using them in order to trade on a daily basis. That is not most people. Most people are buying some XRP, buying some Bitcoin, putting it on their hardware wallet and saying, hey, I'm going to come back in a couple of years and I'm going to have made money. And if that's the situation you're in, Ledger Nano S Plus. Absolutely. And that's a great question, though, George. I know many folks are always wondering. Oh, thank you so much, Kukla. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, but yeah, we would have appreciated a bit more time. We would have appreciated a bit more time. So much to talk about. Oh, yeah. My Trish totally loved everything Mark Pitcham did, and I'm a huge Jim Gale fan. No, absolutely. There were some very interesting speakers over the weekend. Some that I had no idea what they were talking about. I'm not certain about all the different alien races and all of that. That was all new information for me. All new information for me. And so there were a few very, very enlightening conversations going on. Yeah, many topics. I absolutely love the gardening piece. Permaculture, which is the term that it's kind of taken in the modern era, but in the past would have been known as agroforestry in many ways, is to me the future of agriculture. Ultimately, an integrated system that is no longer the monoculture, no longer thousands and thousands of acres of corn, but actually a diverse ecosystem that is more in line with what God created. God made our planet the way that he did. And you know what? He did not make gigantic fields of the same exact crop. It's counterintuitive. And so I really, really enjoyed that part of it. It's one of my very, very close personal hobbies and things I love learning about. What's up, Kathy? It is. Thank you so much for being here. What's up, ZooTube? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh God, Kukla says some pictures were posted in the Intel room. I do not know what those photos contain. Oh, Kathy, I had a great time. Great time. It was. What's up, James Michael? James Michael, how safe is my XRP staying on Coinbase /Uphold? Also, ballpark, how much is a hardware wallet? So, James Michael, your XRP, if it is on an exchange, is not your XRP. And that's something that's just very important to remember. Most likely, it's safe. Most likely. But remember, if it's not on your wallet, it's not your crypto. It is technically Coinbase or Uphold's crypto. And it's going to remain that way until you transfer over to a wallet that you are the only owner of. So 99% chance that it's perfectly safe. Maybe. Possibly. And in all honesty, I really shouldn't have thrown out a percentage number because we don't know. But if it's on your hardware wallet, there is only one point of failure. It's you. If it's on an exchange, there are hundreds of points of failure. It could occur because the exchange messes up, or they have a technology error. It could occur because a single employee of the technology company decides to run away with it. It could occur because one of their third-party vendors who are providing them software or services has a major error. It could occur because a financial regulator, the SEC or the CFTC or or law enforcement has an issue with that exchange, it opens you up to so many other potential points of failure. And so for me, James, I highly recommend a hardware wallet. And luckily, they're not that expensive when you think about the amount of wealth that you're planning on storing. And so the Nano S Plus that I talk about a lot, James, it's 70 bucks. And if you use the link, you get $10 back in Bitcoin. So it's really only 60 bucks. And if Bitcoin keeps going up, well, you'll end up getting it for free in the long run. And so I always recommend when you have enough crypto that it would genuinely upset you to not have access to it, it's time to make an investment in a hardware wallet. If you're not in crypto yet and you're just looking into it, but you want to jump in, I would recommend buying the hardware wallet before you buy crypto. Because most folks, and this is something I talked with a lot of crypto holders over the weekend, they bought crypto and they didn't know anything about it because somebody said you should buy it. And so they did. And they're sitting there and they're holding it and they have no idea what to do. They don't know where to send it. They don't know how to send it. And that really is kind of putting the cart before the horse. What you really want to do if you're just getting into crypto, you know you want to participate, figure out where you're going to store it and figure out how you're going to get it there, then acquire it. You don't buy food at the grocery store that you don't know how to cook. Might be a way of kind of setting it out there. Ultimately, figure out where it's going and then make that purchase if you're just starting. If you've already made that purchase, then focus your efforts on learning about how to store it as opposed to learning more about the crypto. Ultimately, once you've got it safely stored on a hardware wallet, then that's when you start digging in and learning about new cryptos and learning about all the other nuances. But no, very good question there, James, and an important one. Tamara Mudry, Zester, you know how long I would have before silver and gold go on a bull run? I wish I knew, Tamara. With everything going on in the world, I think it's a safe assumption to assume soon, very, very soon. But I am not certain on the date. If anyone does know it, please let me know. I do think that the Bitcoin Act of 2024, which we've talked about in the past on the channel, that it starting to have and it being conversed about in Congress, I think is going to be a watershed moment where a lot of Americans and a lot of people start to learn about the things that have been going on really in the shadows. And so I have a feeling that when that conversation starts to enter into the mainstream, that's going to be a catalyzing event for a lot of precious metal movement because the Bitcoin Act of 2024 calls for the revaluation of gold. And ultimately, if we revalue the Federal Reserve Bank's gold, silver is going to be the next step. And I mean, it's not just logical, it's fundamental, essentially. Silver would be the next step. And so I would look towards those, the progression of some of these bills. Now, Gary 7, if you move crypto to Glint as a gold deposit, would that be taxable? Gary, technically in that transaction, what actually happens is your crypto is sold for dollars and then the dollars are exchanged for gold. And that's just the way that it fundamentally works. And so in that regard, I believe it would be a taxable event. Now, it really gets into a lot of nuance there, Gary. It really gets into a lot of nuance because if I directly transact from XRP to gold and I don't sell my XRP to US dollar, Technically, I'm exchanging two commodities. I'm exchanging one commodity for another commodity. And that enters into a different tax field. And that's where it becomes extremely nuanced. And so, Gary, that's one where we're looking forward to that framework. That's what we want Trump to give us. In the crypto industry, that's one of those answers we need the government to tell us. And not because we love regulation, but because ultimately we really need it so that we can move forward. Because, Gary, I would say personally, I have always viewed any transaction between two commodities or two assets as a non-taxable event. Because logically speaking, legally speaking, it is not a taxable event. But I would not argue that with the IRS. And so I've chosen the conservative path of just assuming that most likely they're considering it to be taxable. That's where this crypto community that Trump has put together is so important. We need that answer. Is that a taxable event or not? I believe it should not be. Ultimately, if I transact from Bitcoin to gold, it should not be a taxable event. If I transact from Bitcoin to the US dollar, it should be a taxable event. But how do you figure that out? How do you determine when you're truly cashing out? What if I'm just transacting back and forth so that I can get to another commodity, another cryptocurrency? So many nuances. So I am not positive, Gary. Do not in any way proceed forward with my advice on that one because ultimately no one has the correct answer right now. Radagast, Karine, awesome name. And what do you think of the rumor that Coinbase is going bankrupt? Radagast, Coinbase has spent a buttload of money. I mean, a buttload of money between court cases, the elections, and also on some failures in terms of their technology. But Coinbase is backed by big money. And I mean big, big money. Franchise institutional money. And so I don't really believe rumors about Coinbase going bankrupt. Coinbase having financial problems, yeah, I could buy that. But bankrupt, that would end up creating a cascading effect that would primarily affect the wealthy, not the average user of Coinbase. Because Coinbase, as the institutional outlet and exchange, maintains a large portion of pretty much everything. The US government uses a Coinbase account in order to buy and sell crypto. Every major government, every major corporation and bank or financial company in the United States uses Coinbase in order to facilitate their transactions. Now, of course, there's Gemini and Kraken, and some people use those, but the vast majority use Coinbase. The government uses Coinbase. And so I just don't believe that Coinbase is going to fold easily because ultimately it will be propped up. They have kind of gotten themselves to a point where at the moment they're so integral to the future of US development and innovation in crypto that it's going to be very hard to get rid of them. So, Radagast, I do believe that Coinbase has made extremely poor financial decisions and that they probably aren't making as much money as they should. But I also don't think that they're going to go declaring bankruptcy any day soon. If I'm wrong, though, Radagast, well, clip this and it can always be held against me. But I don't think that we're going to see a point where it just completely collapses. Maybe we see Coinbase have issues for a couple of months with withdrawals or with purchases. We could see that. But assuming nothing major changes at this point in time, it would be fairly catastrophic for a lot of powerful people if Coinbase were to fail. Ida Bell, have you done a show how to set up Ledger? I cannot figure it out. Actually, I have, Ida. And so if you go through some of my recorded videos on the Crazy Kryptonaut channel on YouTube, you'll be able to actually go back and you're going to have to scroll down a pretty good amount, but you're going to find a lot of videos that might be helpful in other things, but also you'll find a Coinbase setup, a Coinbase and a Ledger setup video on the channel. And so they are some of the first videos and first recordings that I ever did. My apologies for probably the shoddy quality of some of my original streams, but it has all of that information in there. Ida, also, I would recommend going and actually looking up the Ledger YouTube channel. The Ledger YouTube channel also can help out with that. Now, I would highly recommend, though, don't go over to those until you've already got your ledger sitting there, because you're going to need to interactively go through the videos. Gwen Crest, hey Zester, I have a crazy question. Is there any value in the Trump cryptocurrency? I'm assuming you're talking about the Trump World Liberty Financial cryptocurrency. Gwen, that's a great question. What we don't know right now is what the future looks like for World Liberty Financial. Ultimately, they told us that we could never sell it after we bought it, and that it was a governance token. And so if that remains true and World Liberty Financial remains a governance token and can never be sold, well, then the value of owning it is essentially based around how much you value having a vote. And the more World Liberty Financial you own, the more vote you have in what the company does. I have to imagine that they have a larger plan going on. But Glenn, ultimately right now, we do not know. And I don't think anybody knows besides the very close circle inside of the WLFI team. And so, Glenn, as soon as I know, I will be telling you about it. Absolutely. Now, if you're talking about the Trump meme coin, the Trump meme coin, in my opinion, is valueless because it serves no purpose. It's for fun. Its value is based off of how much you enjoy owning the Trump meme coin. Same thing with the Melania meme coin. Ultimately, it's based around how much you value that and how much you think society is going to value it. Think about Doge, Doggy Coin, or Shiba. They don't do anything, and yet a lot of people buy them. And that's one of those psychology investment decisions that is very, very hard to really put into a box. Ultimately, maybe not. I don't know. It depends on how much people like them. It depends on how much people get excited about participating. It depends on how much the people that own it go out there and sell it to everyone they know. It's a grassroots effort with a lot of those. And so I hope that helped, Gwen. I'm not certain whether it was the World Liberty Financial or the other ones. Yeah, Savvy, I'm here all just listening in, LOL. So you were updated on extraterrestrial beings. It gets crazy. I learned a lot of, or heard a lot of differing and new opinions on how the galaxy works. I would honestly have to say it makes Star Wars and Star Trek look like a pretty boring and uncreative version of the future of science fiction. But there were also a lot of things that I found to be very interesting and did correlate to real world events. So I'm not going to place any opinions down at this point in time on the extraterrestrial question, but I would highly recommend checking out some of the different speeches because they were They were a good time and they were enlightening. What's up, Bear? Welcome, welcome. And what's up, Doc Honeycutt? How are you doing? All right. Trying to look through for questions and also saying some hellos. What's up, David? Good afternoon to you as well. And thank you so much for the apple. Yes, Savvy. So for bookkeeping in crypto, how much you bought, how much went up or down, how much sold, how much a pinch every transaction. Sounds simple. Yeah, not. It is not, Savvy. And that's actually where Coinbase really helps you out. Coinbase actually has, and you'll be able to see it on the left-hand side of your Coinbase screen when you're logged into the exchange. You'll be able to click on the little, the cabinet on the left, the little drop-down style menu, and there's actually a tax section. And what it does is it calculates all the money that you put into Coinbase, the price that you bought at, and then the price that you sold at. And it gives you all of that in a file. And so you can literally go to your Coinbase account, you can download your tax file, and you can hand that to your account and never think about it again. That's another very, very helpful little part that Coinbase does for you. And that's another reason that I always recommend it as the on-ramp. When I say on-ramp, I mean I'm taking fiat and I'm buying crypto. And I also recommend it as the off-ramp. And that means I'm selling crypto for fiat because I plan on going out and buying a new pair of shoes or something. And so that's another reason I highly recommend it, is because it's a simple click the button and you'll download the file for the entire tax year and you don't have to think about it anymore. There are also apps that you can download for that one. I'm trying to remember the name of the most popular one. I've never used it just because I very rarely sell crypto. I definitely have never sold more crypto than I've bought crypto. Ultimately, my vision, my mindset is on the long term. And so for me, it's never really been an issue because I only think there's been 1 year since I've been in, since 2016. There's only been 1 year since 2016 where I withdrew more crypto than I invested in crypto. Only 1 year. And so it depends on that one. But Savvy, I would highly recommend using the Coinbase tax return if you do have one of the CSV file on your taxes that they give you, or there are applications if you're not using Coinbase. What's up, Strict Hydra? Mark Z, did you get into a med bed? What are you talking about? Joe Evans, hey, it was so nice to meet you, Joe, at the event. Thank you so much for being there. I was really, really excited to get to meet you, and it was a great time. I hope you enjoyed the event as much as Pops and I did, and I'm very happy to get to see you here on the stream after we just shook hands less than, heck, would have been, I guess, a little over 24 hours ago, but very, very much not a long time. And thank you, Joe, for joining. And Joe, I'm very, very excited to hear about your successes in crypto. That was something that was very nice to hear while there, is that a lot of folks have had a lot of success over the past year or so with their crypto purchases. ZooTube 2024. Zester, is there a US exchange that is selling the ISO coin XPR? Well, actually, let's do a little bit of, let's pull that one up and I'll show folks a great way, ZooTube, for you to find this one. And so CoinGecko tends to be my preferred option for this, but you also have CoinMarketCap. But what you can do here, ZooTube, whenever you find a token that someone's talking about, you're wondering about how do you find it? Where do you buy it? What you can do is you can come over here and we can type in XPR. And now we see the XPR network pops right up. And so we click on the XPR network, and then you can see what's going on. You can see market cap, volume in terms of trading. We can see that it has $106 million market cap, $6.2 million in 24-hour trading volume. And we can also see the contract address and all the information. Make certain that you go to the right Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, etc. And if you keep scrolling, what you'll actually find down here is a list of all the exchanges where it's currently being traded on. This is extremely helpful for figuring out where your options are to acquire it. And so right now, what we can see is that XPR is being traded on MetalX, KuCoin, Gate.io, Arbit, BitGet, MEXC, Uniswap. Uniswap is a decentralized exchange. Hibbit, and then far more. And so what you want to look for here, ZooTube, is you want to look for volume, and you want to look at depth. And so the more money that's sitting there in terms of depth, the more liquid the market is. And the more volume that's sitting there, the more liquid the market is. And so if Gate.io is an option for you, it appears that Gate.io would be the best choice for acquiring some XPR. And that's just a little bit of a tip for everyone out there. Whenever you find or you hear about some new crypto, I highly recommend first stop, come to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, look up the token symbol, look up the name, and then do your research from here. And so I can now go in and I can immediately go, okay, I want to see what they're up to on Twitter. And so here's the XPR network. I know that it's the actual site. I know that it's legitimate. Same idea when I go over here and I say, hey, let's go to their Telegram. Now I'm going to know that I'm going to the right one. I'm not going to a scam. Same thing with Discord, Facebook, Reddit, etc. Also, it has their website. And so I know that I'm going to the right website and it's not some kind of scam or fake site trying to trick me. This is one of those steps that you can make that not only makes you a more informed investor in cryptocurrency, but also makes you a far safer investor in crypto, because it ensures that you're going to the official websites, the official social medias, and it also helps you make certain that you're buying on the right exchanges. So in this case there, ZooTube, it appears as if you can go through and you can check out this list and you can see which of these exchanges you have the ability to use. And also you can do a little bit more research. I would say on XPR, and I would highly recommend ZooTube that you look at this over here. XPR has been out for almost 5 years. It hit an all-time high at 10 cents over 5 years ago. It is now down 96.1% from that all-time high. And when we check out the general market on the 1 year or even the max, what we see is that XPR is probably a fairly dangerous investment at this point in time. I would look at it as a dangerous investment. Ultimately, for 2 years, absolutely nothing happened. But remember, that's kind of the same lesson as XRP. So I would highly recommend doing some due diligence on this one, going in, checking out their Twitter, checking out their social media, checking out their website, and seeing if they've genuinely been working or not. Because whenever you see things of this nature, it's worrying. It's worrying. Ultimately, it appears as if they kind of took a break from October of 2021. They essentially took a break until 2025. That's 3 years plus. So just a tip for everyone out there. Whenever you're looking at it, check these things out. And also use them as a resource to make certain that you're going to the right exchanges and you're going to the right social medias. All right. Gonna go ahead and probably catch up there with chat, I think, actually. I did. All right there, guys. With that, does anybody else have any more questions? Whether they're about crypto or the Quantum Summit or anything else of that nature, happy to answer. I've got a couple more minutes, and then I'll go ahead and let everyone get off to enjoying the rest of their Monday evening. Thank you guys so much for joining. And I know after the summit that and just kind of as a heads up about the channel, because there's something that I noticed from the summit and something that I think is very important, and it's going to be influencing me in the coming months, is that ultimately, while I've been trying to put out a lot of information based around the fundamentals, there's still an insane amount of fake news and misinformation circulating in the space. And so with that learning experience that I had at the Quantum Summit this past weekend, I am planning on going through more fundamentals, and also, and this may or may not be somewhat controversial, I am planning on going through some of the statements that have been made by different influencers and speakers out there, and refuting them. That's something that I've always avoided, because ultimately I believe in the idea of freedom of speech and opinion. I don't believe in knocking people down, just because of that. But what I saw at the summit in terms of a lot of questioning and a lot of things, they are not based on any degree of facts. And so I would say that's something that's going to be coming. We're going to be doing more fundamental breakdowns on how to do certain things. And we're also going to go through and potentially some information that folks have learned from folks may end up coming into the crossfire. I think that it's important to do because, well, ultimately the information's not spreading fast enough. The knowledge about how crypto works and blockchain technology works is not spreading fast enough. And the reason I say that is because we are rapidly evolving into the new financial system. Rapidly. It is happening now. And that means we don't have 10 years to go through and teach people all the nuances and wait for people to come in and go, hey, turns out this is how that works. This is how this works. We don't have time. Folks need to learn how this works now, because we're looking at in this year, next year, in the next couple of years, we're looking at this massive change, and it's going to occur incrementally, but it's already started. And the fact that it's already started to occur incrementally means that it's going to continually speed up. Our banking and financial system is going to quickly start adhering to blockchain technology and utilizing it. We're seeing that from Bank of America. We're seeing that from Wells Fargo. We're seeing that from even the Federal Reserve. It's happening now. And that means that we may need to get a little more aggressive with some of the educational topics. And so essentially, those are the two things that I wanted folks to know. We're going to do more fundamentals in terms of walking people through processes. We're going to do more tutorial style videos, going through and specifically saying exactly showing people how to do something. We're going to do more of those. And we're also going to do a little bit more of debunking, essentially. And I think that that's going to be very important for folks, because we're running out of time. And I wish we had, well, I don't wish we had more time, because ultimately I don't want to kick this can down the road anymore. But it would be nice on the educational side to have more time so that folks could start to really come to this learning when it feels natural to them. But we're not going to have that option. So just so everyone knows, there's going to be a little bit of a change. We're still doing all of our Q&As, but the vast majority of all streams are going to be Q&As from now on. They're not going to be about the news. And the reason is because from what I saw, I'm trying to tackle the biggest problems first. And the biggest problems really come down to misinformation and fundamentals. And so we're going to focus on misinformation and fundamentals for the foreseeable future. Once we've nailed that one down, we'll start moving back to covering more of the news in a grander scale. We're still going to cover it some, but we're going to move back to that once we've genuinely tackled fundamentals and misinformation. So look forward to those. They're going to start coming out this week. I have been extremely reinvigorated on everything crypto related in terms of education after the event, specifically on the tutorial videos like I had been making earlier at the beginning of the Crazy Cryptonaut channel. So look forward to those. Love you guys so much. Hope everyone has an amazing week. I will be back on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And very much looking forward to it because for the past couple of months, it's been starting at 7 p.m. for me. And so I'm kind of excited for the time change. Get to go back to it starting at 6 p.m. my time. So love you all. I will absolutely give all the kitty cats lots of hugs. They have been very irritated with me today and very energetic, which I think is that their way of telling me that they did not approve of me not being here all weekend. So I will make certain to give a lot of kitty hugs for everyone, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Peace, guys.